Breaking today, fury over King Charles revising a definition of monarchy that orders protection of a multi-faith nation. Now, you know, Brits have been labelled crazy things like far-right or conspiracy theorists for being concerned about the erosion, the very obvious erosion of this country's Christian heritage. But you certainly can't accuse those people of being paranoid anymore. Because under this new revised definition of the monarchy that was slipped out last week, virtually ignored by the mainstream media, King Charles's official role will be to protect the multi-faith nation. Protect the multi-faith nation. Oh yes, okay, an Islamic nation. Sir, is that what you mean? As GB News reported, the king will protect the space for faith within the multi-faith nation. That is the new definition of his official role. Buckingham Palace unveiled this significant revision with the newly released Sovereign Grant report, describing His Majesty as the protector of faith across Britain's diverse religious landscape. I thought he was the head of the Church of England. I thought he was the defender of Christianity. But the annual financial review of the royal household contains fresh terminology, positioning the monarch as someone who safeguards religion throughout the nation. According to the document, His Majesty is Supreme Governor of the Church of England and protects the space for faith within the multi-faith nation. This reform represents a notable evolution in how the palace formally characterises the sovereign's constitutional and spiritual responsibilities. The previous year's report, so this has been an actual change, characterised the king under his head of nation duties as the head of the Church of England and defender of the faith. Now, the king's titles date back to the reign of Henry VIII, after he was granted the title Defender of the Faith in 1521 by Pope Leo X. And rightly there is outrage about this, with the royal grift asking, how is everyone feeling about this? As an Anglican, this doesn't sit right with me. Christians should not be forced to accept Islamic faith woven into the foundation of Western society. This is too far. It is incompatible. This multi-faith acceptance messaging will spread to the United States and into my Anglican church because he is still the head of the Church of England. Only king we should be worshipping is Jesus. We're building a community that isn't afraid to speak up. If that sounds like you, hit that subscribe button and join us. Your voice matters here. Welcome to Outspoken. Mary Harrington argued that if Charles's faith is not Christianity but global replaces he should be disposed. And GB News host Emma Tremble doubled down, saying that this is now a bona fide constitutional crisis. Independent media sensation Winston Marshall, the ex-Mumford & Sons star, said, hard to understate just how radical a departure this is from the 1,100-year tradition of our nation and antithetical to our founding. Anti-Islam activist Kelly J. Keane raged, the king is not defender of all faiths, he is Supreme Governor of the Church of England and defender of the faith. He does not have the right to quietly rewrite the job description of the crown to suit modern fashion. This country's institutions should mean something. Indeed, legally, it does seem that there are issues with how this has been introduced, how this has just been slipped in, without any public debate whatsoever. Top lawyer Stephen Barrett explained, you can't change the Constitution by some words in the Sovereign Grant. He is the defender of the faith and head of the Church of England. Those are his obligations, his duty. A king who will not do his duty is no king. And Lauren the Insider was in particular despair, writing, I'm absolutely heartbroken. It is now not safe to raise my daughters in England. Our last remaining protection was it being a constitutionally Christian country. I am speechless. But once she recovered her speech, and thank goodness she did, Lauren the Insider gave us the lowdown on what this change actually means. Leo Curse, I mean, there have been huge concerns over whether Charles is actually committed to Christianity. And what I think is most disturbing about this is that there's been no debate. It was just slipped out. And obviously all of the talk was about Buckingham Palace and the fact that Charles and William are never going to reside there. Then all of the talk was about Harry and Meghan are going to be lent Buckingham Palace. And obviously that is important, that matters. But this one is so fundamental, Leo. And actually, there deserves to be a real discussion and there deserves to be scrutiny on what King Charles is actually suggesting here. Is he saying, as our monarch, that the UK is no longer a Christian country? Because that is terrifying and chilling to many of us.
Yeah, I know for some people in Britain these days, they might think that Christianity is an anachronism and it's, it doesn't have any bearing on our lives. But I mean, a couple of hundred years ago, this would have been, people would have been beheaded and heads put on spikes for this kind of radical departure. I mean, you remember how much of a radical departure it was when the monarch left the Catholic Church. So this is a huge. I mean, this is momentous. It feels like a submission to a more aggressive, dominating culture that's rapidly expanding and is taking over not just the Middle East, but swathes of Africa and Asia. And now Europe as well. And we can see when Islam reaches, around about 10, 15, 20% in a country, then you start getting real problems. So we're not at that level yet, but we're not too far off it. And also with the amount of appeasement and acquiescence, we don't approach Islamism the same way that somewhere like Israel approaches Islamism. So 20% of Israel is Muslim, and obviously Israel is surrounded by Muslim countries that keep trying to wipe it out every decade or so. They all get together and try to wipe Israel out. So Israel has had to become very tough at managing the threat from Islamism, not just from outside its borders, but also the 20% of its population that are Muslims. They've had bus bombings, terror attacks, armed insurrections, all the rest of it. And we're not at that point yet. We've taken the path of acquiescence and appeasement every step of the way. But we are getting to that point. It's not going to be. I don't think there's going to be many more attempted beheadings or terror attacks that we're going to put up with. And to see our king turn around and be like, oh, I'm not Christian anymore. I'm not the Christian leader. Oh no, this is for all faiths. This is for everyone. Let's just roll over and let anybody who wants to. Everybody has claim to this land. Man, this is disgusting. King Arthur must be spinning in his grave. We used to have proper English kings, Lionhearts, that went over and fought against the spread of Islamism, fought in the Crusades, which everybody is taught were a despicable aggression. They were actually defensive wars. I know for a fact that our current king, he's not going to get on a horse with armor and a big sword and the English flag. No, he'd be, if he goes over there, it won't be to fight the spread of Islamism. It'll be as a fluffer for them.
Has King Charles found himself at the center of one of the biggest controversies of his reign? Fresh criticism from some commentators has ignited fierce debate over the king's approach to faith, interfaith dialogue, and his constitutional role. Some critics have gone as far as calling for him to be removed from the throne, an extraordinary demand that has generated heated discussion but does not reflect any official constitutional process. So why has this story exploded? Why are opinions so deeply divided? And what does it reveal about the challenges facing the modern monarchy? Stay with us, because this controversy goes far beyond one headline. Long before becoming monarch, King Charles III spoke publicly about his interest in interfaith dialogue and the importance of understanding different religions. Supporters viewed that approach as inclusive and reflective of modern Britain. Critics argued that the monarch has a unique constitutional relationship with the established church that requires particular care. Those differing views have resurfaced in recent public debate, leading to passionate reactions online. The latest controversy grew after comments from public figures and online commentators criticized the king's approach to religious issues. Some argued that his actions or statements showed too much emphasis on interfaith engagement. Others strongly rejected those criticisms, saying promoting dialogue between faiths is not the same as abandoning one's own beliefs. The result has been another highly polarized debate. Supporters praise Charles for encouraging understanding. Critics believe a monarch should place greater emphasis on his constitutional role as supreme governor of the Church of England. But here's where the story becomes even more interesting. This isn't only about religion. It's about the evolving role of the British monarchy in the 21st century.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, Leo, this weakness does seem to typify his reign, because while I do understand he is battling terminal cancer, the idea that he is giving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle the opportunity to have the keys to Buckingham Palace. I mean, I know it's not as serious as what we're discussing in terms of no longer defending Christianity, but it's like, come on, the optics of that. I don't want these two staying in Buckingham Palace, for God's sake. I want them staying at a travel lodge. Do you know what I mean? And all of this just plays into this idea, Leo, that Charles is weak. He is weak.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, for him to roll over in front of them after how they've treated him. I mean, one of the things, you know, I'm not a huge royalist. I'd be much more of a royalist if the royal family were like a royal family used to be, you know, but that's by the by. They've just become another institution that's become so woke and so wishy-washy and just perpetuating and pushing all these communist ideologies to destroy Britain. But to roll over on a personal level, to roll over and kowtow to Harry and Meghan after how they've treated the royal family, I think they've done more damage to the royal family than Prince Andrew has. They publishing secrets, you know, breaking that sort of contract that the public has with the royal family. The Queen understood so well. Never complain, never explain. And they've done the opposite. They've just been absolutely emotionally incontinent. And, you know, I'm pretty sure they've lied and made stuff up as well. You know, all these claims of racism in the royal family. And, you know, when you see these examples of racism, like when Ngozi Fulani, an African woman, she turned up to Buckingham Palace, and well, she's born in Hackney, lives in Hackney or whatever. She turned up to Buckingham Palace, and somebody asked her, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "How racist!" It's like, did you see how she was dressed? She was literally dressed like Fred Flintstone. She was dressed like, you know, a character from the middle of the Congolese jungle in a Carry On film. She looked absolutely nonsensical. I wouldn't have been surprised if she'd ridden in on a hippo, like firing blow darts at people. Of course, people are going to ask where you're from if you're wearing, you know, a leopard print miniskirt and, you know, Scary Spice's beads. So, you know, I think if somebody, if they're complaining about racism and it's the same sort of baseless complaints, you know, I think that's such a disgusting attack on the royal family. So for King Charles to just roll over and be like, "Oh, well, let's let bygones be bygones." I mean, come on. Yeah, a Travelodge is too good for them. I stay in Travelodges when I'm on tour. They're brilliant. It's like 25 quid a night, and you even get like a kettle and some coffee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want them here at all, to be totally honest. Yeah. And I don't think there's any public demand for it. I mean, Harry's like, "Oh, I should get security because Taylor Swift once got security." No one wants you here. There's no demand for it. You were warned. Stay away is my view. But yeah, I agree, Leo. It's the idea that the royal family thinks someone is going to call them racist or Islamophobic when actually the subjects are all sitting back thinking, no. You are far too woke. That is the issue. We all actually knew that Ngozi Fulani was just a race baiter. She was like an Orinda, you know, who walked into that situation, I believe, secretly recording The Lady in Waiting. And immediately the royal family turned on her, and it was just so awful. But something interesting happened over the weekend, Leo, in your home nation. And what's interesting is you actually think that maybe the king wanted this. So he was apparently made, according to the Daily Telegraph, to sit through an anti-British play at the Scottish Parliament. So the Telegraph reported that the king should not have been made to sit through this performance. That is according to opposition leaders. So young actors performed a section of a play that appeared to suggest that the British Empire was racist. The excerpt from Through a Shortbread Tin satirised the myth of Scottish exceptionalism, but contained what some interpreted to be anti-British attitudes. Opposition MSPs described the performance as historically illiterate and divisive, and said it should not have been performed in front of the king. Now, Leo, you actually argued that the king may have actually taken to the anti-British performance right in on X. Ugh. Betty loved it. Betty loved it. But Leo, here's the thing. Doesn't this just, again, play into the weakness of the king and the weakness of his reign? Because do not tell me for a single second that the late Queen Elizabeth II would ever have sat through that, would ever have been made to sit through that. And unfortunately, without knowing the details, my belief is that probably the king's team did nod it through, did probably think he was going to like it, because I'm sorry, he would not, he's the king, right? His team get a rundown. This is what's going to happen at the opening of Parliament. If he kicks up a stink, or his team kick up a stink, said play doesn't happen. And it happened without any complaint. And I, again, think it is part of this suicidal empathy that has seen him walk away from Christianity too.
Yeah, and this sort of self-loathing for himself and his own culture and his own country, it seems to be. I mean, you're completely right. I'm sure Queen Elizabeth II wouldn't have stood for it. She would have, if that play appeared in front of her in the Scottish Parliament, she would have stood up, pulled out a massive sword and beheaded the nearest SNP politician. And that is the right thing for a monarch to do. And also, I mean, what a sort of despicable sneering at Scotland's proud history. You know, for all the Scottish people say, "Oh, we were colonised by England." Well, we weren't colonised by England. It was a mutual agreement. It was something we entered into willingly, and we made the most of it. Scotland ran the empire. We built the bridges. We built the ships. We ran the bureaucracy, and we dealt with the money, and that's how Scotland became rich. How Glasgow and Edinburgh became rich. So we should be immensely proud of our role in the empire. Especially, you know, Scottish shipbuilding, you know, in Glasgow, and for Queen Elizabeth II, a woman who is named after a ship. I just think it's disgusting for them to sneer at Scottish shipbuilding like that. But yeah, King Charles, I'm sure he absolutely loved it. He probably gave them some pointers. Oh, here's how you can hate on England more. It's despicable. So I want a monarch who's going to stand up, you know, with a bit of hellfire, with a bit of fire in their belly.
Look, not exactly inspiring stuff, but I have to be honest, Leo, there's nothing inspiring to me about Holyrood whatsoever. You know, I think devolution has just been a bit of a disaster. Maybe the king knows that.
Oh, devolution is a calamity, especially for Scotland. This is why I was amazed to see Andy Burnham, you know, put it as his sort of marquee pledge. He's going to devolve government, because if you get devolved governments, you just get these satellite parliaments that fight back against the centre. There's not enough oversight on them because they're, you know, way out in the sticks. So there's more corruption. There's more inefficiency, and yeah, it's just been appalling for Scotland.
The modern monarch serves many roles: head of state, symbol of national unity, and, constitutionally, supreme governor of the Church of England. At the same time, Britain is a religiously diverse society. Balancing those responsibilities has become one of the unique challenges of the modern crown. That balance is exactly what many people are debating today. Faith is deeply personal. For many people, discussions about religion are tied to identity, history, and tradition. When those conversations involve the monarchy, emotions can become even stronger. That helps explain why this latest debate has attracted so much attention. People aren't only discussing one individual. They're discussing what they believe the monarchy should represent. But perhaps the biggest question isn't whether critics are right or wrong. Perhaps it's this: can the monarchy remain both rooted in tradition and responsive to a changing society? Throughout history, the monarchy has adapted to changing political and social realities. Every generation has faced different expectations. King Charles now faces his own. Some people welcome a broader vision of interfaith engagement. Others prefer a stronger emphasis on long-standing constitutional traditions. That difference in perspective continues to shape public discussion. Whatever your personal view, one thing is undeniable. The role of the British monarch continues to evolve. Every public speech, every symbolic gesture, every decision is examined more closely than ever before. And because of that, debates like this are likely to continue. So, has this controversy revealed a deeper divide over the future of the monarchy? Or is it another example of how public debate can amplify differing opinions? The discussion will no doubt continue. But one thing remains clear. The role of King Charles, and what people expect from the modern monarchy, will remain one of the defining conversations of his reign. What do you think? Should a modern monarch actively promote interfaith dialogue? Or should the focus remain primarily on traditional constitutional responsibilities? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below. If you enjoy thoughtful royal family news, palace developments, and in-depth analysis of the biggest royal stories, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. Because the next royal headline could change the conversation once again.